Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Strife's Sanctum podcast. My name is Citizen Strife, and this week we're talking about anime again. And the usual rules apply. I might be an episode or two behind of the normal upload schedule because I'm watching the dubs. There might be spoilers if you haven't watched it. I'd say, a good 4 to 6 episodes into a season, yeah, there's going to be spoilers. But this is more just kind of the general vibe of a show, giving me what I want, giving me what I think, and just gauging, where I think a thing might go if there's a mystery involved, or just overall thoughts on a thing. But we'll start all the way at the top here, Dandadan. Now, the last couple of episodes have been great, because they've been a come down of the Gigi and the Evil Eye, and the volcano and the whatever stuff. Because I love that stuff, but I've always maintained that Dandadan works best when they're focusing on the main characters and, taking a break from the insanity. So they did. And they focused in on the ISAs and Okarun trying to get Gigi back to normal. So they've spent a couple of episodes doing that. They've talked it through. They did a weird thing in the last episode. I shouldn't be surprised with Dandadan at this point, but they brought a series of pseudo-spirit mediums who are actually like a metal band. And apparently somebody said that they got the singer from Dragon Force to do the song that they were doing on it. I was like, what the fuck is this? But then I remembered it. It's Dandadan. Whatever the fuck happens, happens. I got to see Seiko with her hair down for a change, which was weird, and in a ponytail. I'm like, God damn it, why is she so pretty? She's a grandma. God knows. Anyway, but they're kind of going through the mechanisms of Gigi, needing hot water to control the Evil Eye. If he gets splashed with cold water, he goes fucking apeshit. So they're trying to work their way through that. They're still building the relationship between Okarun and Momo, which is good. Momo is seeking money and getting a part-time job, only for her friends to fuck with them and bring Okarun to a maid cafe. And oh dear, I'm like, this is the sort of stuff I like, because these characters are weird enough. You don't need the weirdness of the aliens and the whatevers and the shit. You need that as a backdrop, I think. But you need something to ground your show in the stuff, so the shonen actually matters when you actually see the stuff blowing up. Because if the characters aren't good and the characters aren't important, then what the fuck? Gee, me talking about characters being important. What else is new? Toilet Bound Hanako-kun, Season 2, Core 2. They developed that Aoi Akane is now a member of the crew of the Grim Reaper, the Sixth Wonder. And she's actually growing fond of that in a very mischievous and conniving way. The Nene and Hanako were trying to save her, only for her to kind of turn the tables and throw them in a trash bin. And, what they're building is, they're still building towards Nene, having a short lifespan, but they're focusing a lot of this stuff onto Aoi, her best friend. This side story is about her, which is good, because as good as Nene and Hanako are as characters, there's only so much more you can do with them to flesh them out, which they mostly did in the last core anyway. So finding ways to bring in other characters like Aoi and Akane, who have reverse names, I never quite figured out why, but running joke, but having it tie into other mystical stuff is good. And especially since this is the show that I really get that like Japanese spiritualism, ghost stuff, yokai stuff, all the weird stuff. I need that sometimes in my life. As we'll see with one of the shows that I dumped recently, I need a specific quality for that to work. And thankfully, Hanako-kun, I would honestly say, is my favorite show going forward, because as good as Dandadan is, and as good as like With You in the Rain is, there's always been something about Hanako-kun that's just hit that right chord with me and stuck. And I'm really glad that it's sticking. I will get to a full-on episode later, and I'm imagining that I'll be done with the season. The season will have rolled out by the time I get to that episode in October. No guarantees, but the majority of it will be done. So, Sakamoto Days, it's kind of fitting that I like it, but, there's only so much you can do. They spent an episode talking about a guy with, he's got wires and spider stuff. Ooh, boy, we haven't seen that before. Doing sight gags with it was a sight gag with an amusement park tower, and not an amusement park. There was an amusement park a few episodes ago, but a giant tower, a tourism tower, getting accosted by people that are going after Sakamoto and others in the JAA. They fight them off. There's the concept of Sakamoto accepting that he's a fat guy now and having its own power rather than him just being a thin guy again. Oh boy, I'm having to think of that myself. I'm having to reconcile the fact that I'm a bigger guy now, despite wanting to lose weight and can't seem to do it the older I get. Go me. I'm fully there with you, Sakamoto. I know the feeling. Except you can get rid of your weight whenever you want to. But Sakamoto Days is what Sakamoto Days is. You've either liked it by now or you're not going to. I don't expect it to just transcend and do anything amazingly new anytime soon. It's content to be, hey, we're a fighting show. Let's do fighty things. Let's just find cool environments to have cool fights with cool stuff and cool powers. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm not expecting the world out of it either. Dress Up Darling Core 2, however, has a lot more to offer, because it's got cosplay friends, and they added, they keep teasing the Marine and Goto are like friends and whatnot, and no, we're not. Yes, you are. No, we're not. Yes, we are. But adding in other, they're keeping the focus on the cosplay stuff and throwing in cool things. They got a new friend who was a cross-dressing cosplayer, and, kind of going through kind of, a shorter but interesting story about, and I dealt with this with Kowloon Generic Romance too. One of the characters in there was a person who liked wearing dresses. He was a very feminine, leaning character. Same thing applied with this episode in Dress Up Darling, where you learn about, or these two episodes where you learn about this guy who, his family was very supportive of his choice to do these sorts of things, except his girlfriend was not, and took it as meaning that somebody has left their dresses why would somebody leave their dresses in your home? That seems very awkward. But whatever, that was the conclusion she came to, but the dude ended up finding friends in Marin and learning the cool stuff about it. And I liked it because, we do have that, transgender, gender identity, gender dysphoria, gender is fluid. And it's one of those weird things. It's like, you just do what you want to do. And if you're so hung up on something, that's everybody else's fault. If you enjoy doing, that was a good message. Learning that there are going to be people that are going to hate you for whatever you choose to do, but then there are going to be people that will like you for who you are. And it was cool to learn that. And then learning that the dude was super hot, because of course he fucking was. was just the tip of the iceberg when he gets out of costume and then they see him and he's like, oh, I guess that makes sense. So yes, you can equip boobs just like this show said. Gachiakuta, Clevatess, better. I've said this for the last couple of episodes, but Clevatess is great. Clevatess was boring because the characters are boring. Gachiakuta is great because the characters are not boring, and the whole trash heap stuff is great. The lady character, I keep, one of these problems with one of these sometimes these episodes is I never seem to remember main character names until it's too late. But he goes to the cleaners HQ, tries to meet the boss, only the boss doesn't show up. So this last set of episodes was the red-haired girl coming by and showing off, here's what you do in a no man's land. Let's go fight some dudes. So he gets to show off his powers and do his power stuff, but also she gets to show off her own power set too, using scissors as shoes, I guess. I don't know. But establishing more of the lore of what a cleaner is, what a support unit is, what trash beings are, and, what the world is out, underneath the sphere. So Gachiakuta is great. There was a gag with a plunger as part of a shonen fight, which was great. And the dude just running away. He's like, "Don't you don't know what a plunger is, you idiot!" And I'm like, nah. Oh god, this show it's funny. It has time to be funny. I'm also reminded of the worst smile in existence. If you've seen the episode, you'll know exactly what scene I'm talking about. But yes, the main character forcing a smile and creeping out everyone in existence. Just ugh. Anyway, speaking of shonen that works better than I thought it would, Tougen Anki. I'm going to watch another episode after I'm done here, so I finally got some extra time to do so. But what's working with that is Shiki is surviving in the forest, and he dealt with this gigantic monster thing and is trying to get around this dude who's, being the annoying curmudgeonly, I don't work with other people, you're dumb. While the teacher is going, you fuckers are stupid. Basically telling him, if you don't work together, you're fucking dead. So deal with it. So the teacher beats the fucking shit out of all of them. But Shiki, in a dumb but good-hearted way, tries to be everybody's friend and doing it the right way. And everybody kind of passes, only to find out they're now support units and kind of like pseudo-medics in a way. Mercenaries and medics and cool stuff. They're fighting the Momotaros. It's kind of nice that they got out of the forest and now are doing different things with their power sets, because that was one of the bigger things for me, was adding other characters and seeing if they would be interesting. And I think that Tougen Anki is interesting enough because there are layers to the characters I wasn't expecting, while not being too layered that it's impenetrable. So I'm happy about it. Leviathan, still good. And again, more characters being good, because I was always about Dylan. And I like Dylan as a character the first couple of his episodes. But Alec is finally starting to grow a spine and learning about, the Darwinists versus the Clankers, and, learning about, okay, you use these beasts as your flight mechanics, and you're naturalists to an extent, but you're fighting the Germans because Germans are hard-coded as evil people, because obviously World War II. No questions asked there. I mean, it's an easy thing to get used to, but Dylan and Alec are starting to just kind of get used to each other, but Vorger is just being a fucking asshole about it. But Alec is doing the right thing. He's accepting that the world isn't black and white, and throws away his inheritance to make sure the Leviathan flies. And, I've heard, reports that the show is kind of boring and kind of boilerplate for what it's offering, and that's fine, but I think it will serve. I was getting worried that something like Moonrise wasn't grabbing me. This doesn't have that same issue, because if I wanted to, I could binge watch this and be done with it. Netflix decided, some shows are weekly, some shows are binge. This was a binge show, but I'm treating it as a weekly show that because I'm not so invested that I'm just going all at once. But I like it enough when I get to it. Let's see. With You in the Rain, more dog stuff, more woman and dog and of a dog alien raccoon thing, whatever. Well, last couple of episodes have been about taking the dog for a walk and going out with neighbors and family members and just playing around with the dog and other dogs and doing stuff. Last week's episode was learning that Fuji has friends. Somehow. Because she doesn't really strike me as a person who wants to be with friends. And the other bit was the dog thing asking Fuji to go to the beach. And Fuji begrudgingly going to the beach. And saying, okay, I like the beach. I just don't like being around people. And I'm like, you are my favorite person. Because I don't like being around too many people either. If I can help it. Fuji sounds like the person that doesn't like to go out of her way to meet people, and what friends she has, she doesn't take them for granted. So it's like, take the friends you have and relish them, because goddamn it, just you don't have to be everybody's friend. Some people that comes naturally. I know all about just wanting the few friends I have and be the happy person that I have, and be cordial at work, shit like that. Did get a new show that I enjoyed, Lord of Mysteries. I don't think they dubbed this earlier in the season, so I never got around to it. But they finally dubbed around like 4 or 5 episodes in English, and yeah, this has potential to basically outstrip everything except Hanako-kun, because Hanako-kun is a legacy show to me. It's hard to top that, but With You in the Rain and this are probably going to be like the top 2, and they're going to be fighting neck and neck. Lord of Mysteries has further to drop though, because it has a lot more going for it. It's very Doctor Strangey, and they're doing a lot of the weird imagery, pseudo like bonkers nutso stuff. They're also doing a Victorian setting. It's a mystery show about this guy who could have or couldn't have killed people, but then gets thrown into this thing he's known as a Beyonder. So he takes this potion to learn these skills and utilize his new skill set to join an organization of supernatural police force, basically, or supernatural security. And doing things that normal people can't do against these monsters that normal police can't fight. So it's only a couple episodes in for me, but I do really like that they spent, the first episode really caught me. It was really fucking weird and bonkers. They didn't explain anything. They just kind of let the weird visuals own the day while the dude was trying to figure out his way around things. And then the second episode was more about, we have this established. Let's center things. Let's slow things down and kind of establish this new place that you're working in and new society and shit. And be like, okay, now you're starting to get somewhere because you're doing the weird shit, but you're not bombarding me with the weird shit. The Dandadan approach, If you just have a bunch of weird shit happening and you don't have any context, it doesn't add up. So they slowed it down in the second episode, and it gave me time to breathe, which is great. Speaking of breath, let's take a breath and talk about shows that I dropped. Because I dropped that one, I dropped that one, I dropped that one, dropped that one, dropped Clevatess before. 3 shows. 2 of them I have nothing to talk about because I dumped them in minutes. And 1 that I dumped after an episode because the second episode was terrible. So, new Saga. This one was about a guy who his party died against some evil dude, and he basically traveled back through time and is reliving and doing the whatever and getting through the thing. But then he had this weird, comical sort of thing with his sister / love interest, whatever, that was dumb comedy, and I was like, no, fuck you. So I got nothing much to say about it other than dark fantasy. Guy returns to eat time travel. It's time travel bullshit. Whatever. Wasn't interested. One thing I was less interested in was oh god, this title's so bad. Onmyo Kaiten Rebirth Verse. Because you gotta do the Chaos Head sort of titling in some fucking shows. Whatever. No, this is more Kingdom Hearts. But Onmyo, I was thinking, okay, Onmyoji, this could be interesting. And then they don't, the main character is just annoying. The main female character doesn't interest me at all. And I was like, whatever. I don't think I'm going to like this, so I dumped it in a few minutes. And one show that I was going to hope for was Junk Food, but realized pretty quickly in the second episode I wasn't really going for it, was Dekin no Mogura. Because I was going to hope that this was going to fit that Hanako-kun vibe, where they were going to explore weird worlds and do crazy shit with ghosts and yokai and like old school Japanese shit mixed with the new world. And all I got out of the second episode was this guy talking about guns and first-person shooters and spending 5 minutes talking with people that are like college age who look like fucking middle schoolers. And I'm like, why are we having a monologue? Why are we not talking about, oh, hey, I'm a dead guy. I need ghost powers. Let's go fight a ghost. Like, do the inspector thing. Spend an episode finding ghosts or something. Like, if you're going to monologue, at least have some cool thing to do rather than just stand there for 5 minutes. It was just boring. And I'm like, if you're going to be junk food, at least be good junk food. And then I was like, no, you're not doing it. I don't need you. You're not even going to do the ghosty thing. Do more of the ghosty, crazy, weird bullshit that your show is allowing you to do. I don't need to talk about a dude being homeless or sort of broke or whatever, or talking about people with video games. It's dumb. I don't get it. It's dumb. So I dumped it after an episode, and I'm like, I'm not regretting this at all. So I've still got so many shows that are worth watching, so it's not like I'm lacking for choice. So Denkin Mogura didn't even fit the junk food label. Clevatess would have, but again, I hated it, and there's 2 other shows that I like more that do the same thing, but better. So I'm still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shows, 9 shows, right? So dumping Denkin no Mogura because it was kind of terrible is no skin off my neck. I'm kind of happy that I have a season that's this full of stuff to watch, and it's not just sequel all day. It's not sequels. I mean, there's a lot of them. There's 4 shows that are sequels, but there's other things that I can dig into. So stuff being bleh, I don't really have the time for. But such is life. You can't always win, but having 9 shows to follow in a season is more than I could ask for. But let's see here. Next episode, I've done Legend of Dragoon. I've done the episode for it. I just have to upload it next week. After that is Salty Ray, Nier Automata, the anime and the game together, because I have a lot to say about that, and I'm anyway. Illusion of Gaia. And then Toilet Bound Hanako-kun gets its own episode rather than just me kind of splitting hairs around here and there. And then I've chosen in October, late October, to talk about East 10 Nordics. So, not my favorite East game, but not terrible either. I just wish there was, in a post East 8 world, that the games would be fleshed out more, and yet East is kind of centered around being good enough, I guess. But anyway, that'll be for its own episode. I'll see you guys next time. Citizen Strife, signing off.